So, welcome to today's class. Today we will discuss various components of a building. So, this is a typical cross section of a building. So, mainly the building can be divided into three. One is superstructure, then we have the substructure or foundation, and the plinth. So, the superstructure is a part of structure which lies above the plinth level. So you have the plinth here from the ground level. It's a raised platform. So above that one, every structure belongs to the superstructure, and the construction between the ground level and the top level of the plinth is called as the plinth arrangement. Structure. And every construction below the ground level is called as a substructure or foundation. So we'll see the various components of the superstructure. It includes the roof for covering the building. Then we have the building services like various electrical, plumbing, so many things will be a part of the building. We have the ceiling, it is the internal part of the roof. Then the building finishes are will be there for the walls. Not only will go for painting, but in some cases or some places they will go for the tile. Then we may have columns and pillars for some buildings, door, windows. Then comes the floor, terrace as required. Then the parapet or railings run around the terrace. Then the various floors. This is a two-story building. So first floor, the wall. So this comprises of the superstructure, and I told the plinth is the basically a raised platform. So the superstructure is the lot of the superstructure is taken by the transferred to the substructure to the plinth. It's a raised platform, and below the ground level, sorry, the stair is also located in the plinth level, and we have below the ground level we have the foundation. So there are various types of foundation based on the soil capacity as well as the load acting on the foundation. So we'll see in detail the various components and its function. So just listing out all the basic components listed here. We'll see if anything is missed out in the coming slides. So I told the building components are generally classified into substructure below the ground level, plinth above the ground level, and just below the superstructure. And we have the superstructure. It's a typical cross section which clearly shows an in detail view. So just study from the bottom. We have the foundation concrete. So normally plain cement concrete is provided here. Above that, for a single story building, we will be having the foundation made of the random rubble masonry. So then, so this comprises of the foundation or superstructure. We have the ground level. Above the ground level, there will be a step to access to the superstructure, basically to reach the level of the plinth. And between the uh, arrangements of the plinth, you have the sand filling. Then above the sand filling, you'll be having the floor concrete. Then the floor will be finished. So plinth level means it is the top level of the floor. Then a damp-proof course is provided between the wall as well as the plinth to avoid the penetration of water to the walls. So thus making the walls damp-proof. And we have the door as required, window as required, lintel. So the lintels are the reinforced cement concrete beams which runs through the entire perimeter of the building. And the reason why we are providing lintel is that you can see that means a building is comprised of many doors and windows. So the door is an opening, the window is opening. So when you are employing or when you are using the brick masonry, when there is a sudden opening coming below that, like for the windows and doors, that won't that the load is not properly distributed. So in order to employ the proper distribution of the loads throughout the building, we are providing the reinforced cement concrete lintels. So we have the brick masonry part above the lintel. So this load will be acting on the lintel, and the lintel transfers the load through the to the entire perimeter of the building. And we have the roof slab, parapet for safety purposes, and the weathering courses as required to prevent from the penetration of water. So the what are the various functions of the substructure or foundation? As a definition, the foundation is a part of the structure which is in direct contact with the ground to which the loads are transmitted. So that is the one structure which transfers the load to the ground at last. The various functions of foundations include it helps for the even distribution of the load of the building to reduce the intensity of load by spreading the load to a higher area. It reduces the differential settlement. Differential means there will be suppose a building is loaded, it will be having a uniform settlement. There won't be any tilting of the building. It provides safety against the sliding and overturning. That means it provides that means the building won't move towards the sides or it won't overturn. Safety against the undermining because we're providing some closure in the like below the ground level, and it provides a firm and level surface. So this figure shows the what is the problem if we didn't go for a good foundation. It may result in the overturning. It may result in the complete collapse of the building. So what are the requirements of a good foundation? The foundation should be constructed to sustain dead load and imposed load and to transmit them to the underlying soil. It should be rigid enough to avoid the differential settlement. It should be taken to sufficient depth for the proper transfer of the load to the ground. Performance should not be affected due to any unexpected future influence. It should be properly designed. So this figure shows what is the differential settlement, what is the total settlement. So this is a figure of a building having no settlement. This is like a uniform settlement. That means all the column or all the foundation settled by equal amount. In the case of differential, all the foundation has got different levels of settlement. So this is more dangerous because this will induce more stresses on the beams. This is not too dangerous, but too much of settlement will cause trouble to the building. So uniform settlement is usually of little consequence in a building, but differential settlement can cause severe structural damage. So this is a figure showing the making of foundation. Okay, so the next one is the plinth or the uh, plinth level. The plinth is the dividing structure between the substructure and the superstructure. So we know this is a plinth portion. Thus, the projecting part of the wall above the ground level to the floor level is the plinth. So we know so from here to the floor level. The plinth is usually kept at least for 45 centimeter, it's 1.5 feet above the general ground level of the building. So why you need a plinth? So basically, the plinth provides a raised floor. This will be very helpful if the building is located in a waterlogging area, and also to avoid the entry of some animals. It helps in the proper load distribution. It makes dam proof. That means it avoids the penetration of water from the foundation to the superstructure. It supports laterally the fillers. So we can employ sand filling. So the sand filling materials are laterally supported by the plinth which is provided through the entire perimeter and also on the interiors. Okay, now these things walls and columns. Still a recap. Walls are mostly made of masonry in the case of single story and two-story buildings. It may be brick, blockwork, stone, etc. Buildings may also constructed as a frame structure. So this is a frame structure in which you can see columns and beams. Like for the big flats, most of the flats and high-rise buildings are built in this way. So to add, normally we can build a building by two way, like by the column beam supports and by the wall supports. So in our normal residential houses, the entire lot of the building is transferred through slab, beam, then walls, then to foundation. In the case of frame structures, it will be slab, beam, then column, then to the foundation. So for the residential houses, the brick masonry is also taking the load. They are called as the load bearing walls. But in flat, this is the brick masonry is provided just for the partition. So it is called as a non-load bearing wall. Okay, after the walls and columns, we have the floors. Floors is an important part of the building. It is a place where the inhabitants perform their most activities. It is constructed on the filling and laid over the plinth level. Floors are usually made from different types of materials like timber, brick, RCC, and we can use the floor coverings like marble, tiles, mosaic, whatever it may be. Top floors are nowadays usually made of the reinforced concrete. It means above the ground level. On first story, we can go for the reinforced concrete slabs. Okay, then the roof. The roof is an important part of all the building. A roof is a layer which covers the structure from the top. It also prevents the building and inhabitants from the ill effects of the environment. Depending on the finances available and also on the climatic conditions, we have different types of roofs. There are various number of selections. Roof can be sloped or flat. Normally, we will go for a flat roof in the case of reinforced even concrete buildings. And in some cases, we will go for the truss work. So it will be sloped roofs. Many types of roofs and roofing material are available nowadays. And on to the windows and doors. So the openings are necessary in buildings for the passages inside and outside the building. We also need windows for lighting and ventilation. Traditionally, doors and windows were made of wood, and hence this work is sometimes referred to the woodwork in buildings. But nowadays, we'll go for even steel windows, steel doors, or other materials like PVC. So now we can't tell like all the door and window work is a woodwork. Other woodworks like the provision of cupboards are also important, but it comes under the subject of interior decoration. So we are mainly focusing on the superstructure. Next important one is the stairs and lift, which is very useful for the vertical conveyance. So from moving from one floor to another. Nowadays, most buildings are made more than one story high, which means that there should be a way of going from one story to of the building to the another story. So we should knowledge of various elements of staircase and the construction of a simple staircase is essential for those involved in the building construction. The elements you'll study in the next year. Study of the layout and design of the ornamental staircase subject is also a special subject because we can do a lot in staircases for the design, configuration, all and all. Usually, vertical transportation devices like electric lift are to be provided in buildings having more than four floors. So, for very tall stories, we'll go for the electrical lift in addition to the steps. Okay. Then other thing is the building finishes. The final appearance of the building depends very much on its finishing. We have to deal with the following: the plastering and pointing. Plastering is basically applying the cement mortar on the brickwork, and pointing is applying the grout onto the brickwork. Grout is the combination of cement plus water. Then the painting of bars, woodwork, grillwork to make the building beautiful. Building finishes. Finish the like to make the building equipped for living. It is essential that we have a knowledge of the finishing to be used on the various materials of the construction, such as plaster, wood, metals, etc. And then we have the building services, which we'll be studying in detail in the module 3, like the other things which will help for the living. That means the water supply, drainage, sanitation, electrical works. All things comes under the building services to make sure that we are in a proper living condition. Even ventilation also comes. AC, all things will come. Okay, we'll stop for today.